We stand pledge allegiance.
There's my answer there.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My answer.
Item number 2, public participation. Hearing none, move on to item.
Excuse me, I turned it down to comments. I'm here on Fountain Square. I don't know whether.
You're on here.
Yeah, it's on the.
Yep. Approval of the meeting minutes dated September 13th, 2023,
We'll approve the regular meeting minutes of September 13th, 2023.
and including the special meeting August 24th, 2023.
It's including that meeting as well.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? 4A, superintendent's report, Danielle.
Keep it.
Good afternoon, everybody. So this is just the monthly report from our September data. And for the request of the board, I did go add a column for the previous month's numbers, so you can see a comparison. You guys asked for that, so you'll see there August numbers with the September next to it. And I just want to highlight anything that's noteworthy rather than maybe go through every single line. We'll just note on the third set of data under concentration, there's influent VOD. So that's what's coming into the plant. Biochemical oxygen demand is higher than our design, and it has been for quite some time. So we're just keeping an eye on that. The influent TSS, total suspended solid, that's what's coming into the plant. A lot lower than August, still above our design of 160. And our influent total nitrogen is right under our design average. Our TKN is right around our design average. So that just gives you an idea of where we stand with our design versus what's actually happening. Our loadings, the next section there, we're typically running really high with our suspended solids above our design average. We're running real close to our design on VOD. And nitrogen coming in, that TKN and TN, we're at about half of our design. So that's not bad. As far as compliance, we did really well in the month of September. Our nitrogen, well, I'm sorry, I'm going out of order here. The effluent BOD, 8.1 milligrams per liter, single digits is like beautiful. I mean, we couldn't ask for anything better than that. So our effluent BOD, our permit limit is 30, and being in single digits there is great progress. We've come a long way. Our effluent TSS also at 13.7. That's wonderful. That's nice, clear water going out to the river. And we've got 30 milligrams per liter as our permit limit. So we're doing well, very well there. And as far as our removal efficiency for VOD and TSS, hovering at around 96, 97%. That's great. We're taking out most of our pollutants. We're doing a wonderful job there. The 85% is our permit limit. So we're definitely surpassing the 85%. Down at the bottom section there, I just added in our pounds per day of nitrogen. Our limit is 106. So now 2 months here, you'll see August, we were at 96 pounds. In September, again, at 101. We're less than our permit limit. So that's good. That gives us credits at the end of the year, hopefully, from the state of Connecticut. And then we trucked out 20.8 tons of thickened sludge, which is almost half of what we did the month before. So the amount of trucks coming in to haul our sludge has decreased significantly. So we're trying to keep that down as much as we can. So we're doing our best there. Working well. On to the next page. Does anybody have any questions on the data though before I go on?
Nope.
Okay. The next page there, our staffing, we did hire 2 new operators in training, Charles Bees and Tom Rivello. And they are considered operators in training. They will be going for their Class 1 state of Connecticut wastewater certification as soon as they finish up some classes. We haven't had any safety incidents to report. We did do safety training, slips, trips, and falls, and personal protective equipment. chemical consumables. We use polymer on our rotary drum thickener. That's to thicken up that sludge that the trucks haul out. We use about 150 gallons. Sodium hydroxide, we use about 50 gallons. That's what we use to increase our alkalinity for nitrogen removal. Our foam free, that is what the DEP is requesting we use to add to our effluent before we discharge to the river to keep any foaming that day, so we don't get any complaints, which we have had in the past. So we're continuing dosing that at 150 gallons per month. And this last one here is our sodium, our chlorine, and we use 3,392 gallons for the month of September, which is actually pretty low. We had very clear effluent, so when we have clean water, we don't have to use as many chemicals. We didn't have any odor complaints and we didn't have any noise complaints. I did add a section just to highlight what happened with that 3.9 inches of rain we had. I don't typically include this in the report, but that was a very significant rainfall for us. And it just goes to show that we've got quite a bit of I&I going on in the collection system, so that we just keep an eye on every month. And our flows pretty much doubled with that rain event. And in the past, we've had a lot of issues with keeping the treatment plant running optimally after a rainstorm like that. And we absorbed this very well. We made some process changes in the last several months, and we were able to handle this storm without any issue. And then at the very bottom, the influent updates. This is something we started tracking recently because we're seeing a lot of things coming into the plant that don't belong at the plant. And this is just we have 5 incidents of either dyes coming in or foamy, white, sudsy cleaners coming into the plant. And those are things we haven't been able to trace back to a source, but we are working on it. It's difficult to do that. When something comes in, we can only dispatch so many people to so many locations to try to find out who's sending us this stuff. It doesn't belong in the collection system, but it keeps coming. So that's just something we're tracking and keeping an eye on. On to the next page. This is just our pump station update with our grease removal. In September, we removed a total of 1,100 pounds of grease at all the pump stations. We have a significant amount of grease coming into our stations. And so we handled that in September very well. We had a lot removed, and we've already done it once in October. We removed 345 pounds so far in October, and there may be a little bit more to come as the month goes on. And then on the final page, as far as maintenance, so our preventive maintenance program is well underway. We're now using a cloud-based fix program for preventive maintenance tracking. Our chief mechanic, Jay Convertito, is spearheading this new program. He's entering all of the equipment that is site-wide. Every pump, every valve, every piece of equipment that we have is getting loaded into this program, and we will have automatic work orders spit out weekly, daily, monthly, annually to make sure that we're on top of our preventive maintenance program. So that's underway and it's going very well. We did do some maintenance on the RDT, some cleaning of the nozzles. We replaced our tubing on our sodium hypochlorite pumps just as a preventive measure. And we had our full maintenance performed on the Bobcat skid steer ahead of winter months coming. We use that for our snow removal. Corrective maintenance, the crew pulled pump number 3 at Wells Hollow Pump Station, and that was brought to New England Pump and Valve for repair. That saved us, I don't know, about what, $2,500 to have our guys do it instead of New England Pump and Valve. So that was an awesome job by the crew. We installed new belts on the RDT odor control motor. The guys replaced a worn 6-inch plant water supply valve. That's another several $1,000 job that we did ourselves rather than have somebody come in to do that, which they did a wonderful job. It went smoothly, no issues at all, and we're up and running there. We also replaced the worn gearbox and motor on our band screen, another big job that we did not contract out. We had our crew do that, again, saving a few $1,000s there. And just also, we had our truck repaired, our pickup truck. It's the one truck that we really try to keep on top of maintenance wise for our snow removal and such, and going to pump stations. We had a bunch of front end and steering work done on that. And then so for future work down the bottom, we have Weston and Sampson working on a bid spec, which we're going to talk about momentarily, for our 5,400 gallon sodium hypochlorite tank. We need to have that replaced as soon as possible before the next disinfection season, which begins on May 1st, 2024. The current sodium hypochlorite tank can no longer hold liquid. It's got several cracks and things going on with it, and it did leak. And at one point during the month, we lost disinfection because of it. And we did limp it through to the end of our disinfection season, which ended September 30th, but it will not make it another season. So that will be up for us to talk about. I've got John Russo and Matt Remind here to talk about that momentarily. And so that's been red tagged. We can't use it anymore. I have here that we're cleaning the chlorine contact tanks in the coming days. When I wrote this report, it hadn't been done yet, but we did it. That hadn't been done in almost a decade. We were able to divert flow and get guys in there to hose out and clean and scrub those tanks and check all the hardware, check all the plumbing for the chlorine disinfection, and that went very well. So that was another huge project, well done by the crew. And we are going to temporarily plumb in an alternative chlorine feed system to accommodate 275 gallon totes of chlorine, in case the large 5,400 gallon storage tank ever goes down again. If there's ever an issue with that again, we'll have a backup method to dose the chlorine and stay in compliance with our permit. And that's something we can do that isn't too terribly difficult and shouldn't really cost much money to do that. And so that's it for maintenance. And then the last page, you guys, I don't know if you have the overtime, just our standard overtime management. And that's it. If anybody has any questions on anything.
All right, so a follow-up to September's meeting, we talked about it briefly, but we had another follow-up. So Bill and Danielle and myself, we asked Bill Meikle, but he didn't make it. We were on a call with Ann from Deep just to talk about our design on this first page, the items that we're over. And, you know, I got to say, they're going to work with us. Obviously, Danielle's got a good, and Garrett got a good relationship with her, with Ann. So she's willing to work with us. We definitely have work to do. So, and then recently, 2 weeks ago, Danielle and Bill and myself had a meeting with Virgil from Fuss and O'Neill to talk about his work on the upgrading of the help me, facilities
Yep.
facilities plan.
Facility plan, yep.
He's supposed to have his numbers. So we had about, I believe we talked about it. We kind of maybe changed the phases a little bit, what we thought we needed to have done. And one of them is, and as we're talking about it, has been a bugaboo for a long time, is I&I. So he's going to get back to us. I was hoping it was this week, but I haven't seen anything yet.
So he did have, like you said, a few phases laid out of what we could work on. And then we did have that meeting with Deep, and they sent a Clean Waters Act, like template checklist as to what should be included in a facility
Yeah, that was a
plan.
nice, that was a nice list.
It was a nice list. So that got kicked back to Fuss and O'Neill to say, hey, you know, we think this looks good what you have, but also there are a few things we'd like you to include. One of them was storm hardening, the collection system. There were a few things that she wanted them to add. So I think we're just waiting on that.
So, yeah, so we're waiting for Virgil. We can either do it I would prefer to have a special meeting. Anybody can come to the special meeting once Virgil. It'll probably take too much time to have it. We've been doing Zoom calls with Virgil and Ann. The next one that we're going to have, I think we'll probably call for a special meeting with everybody, unless people want to get on a Zoom call. So we'll let you know when we get the information, and we can start talking from there. He was gonna give us values for each one of the phases, because I said to him, we need to know, okay, over a course of 5 years or 6 years, whatever it's gonna take to do this, what do we think we're gonna be expecting to spend each year? Because we have to obviously monitor it from our funds. So we're not gonna steal all the money. I don't say steal is wrong, but we're not gonna spend all the money in our funds that we have right now in 1 year. Obviously, we have to take priority. I think we talked a little bit about priority and which ones we thought were important to get done on Virgil's end. So we're just waiting for that document. Anything else you want to add about the Zoom
No,
call?
no, that's it. And as far as priority, the priority is important because some things feed other things. So if we get like a flow analysis done, for example, that helps with a lot of other future phases or phases is the word we're using now.
Right.
So yeah, so once they come up with that, we'll present it to everybody.
Because obviously we have other items we need to be doing at the plant. Chlorine contact tank, that's one of them. You know, and there's going to be other things that we need to fit in there besides what Fuss O'Neill is going to be doing. So expect an email or a call from somebody if you guys want to. We'll have a special meeting. Anything else from Danielle or Garrett? Hearing none, let's move on. 4A is done. 4B, the budget worksheet. I look at this and hard to look at. Any question of the budget worksheet? Bill's been kind of like monitoring this one. I've been talking to Bill about it, so I know he was not here today. We spoke. I just wanted him to have some comments, but you know, this goes through September year to date. What I asked Bill to do is just take a look and see where it meets up with our approved budget for the year. It's kind of obvious. There's the percents remaining on here. Review some of them. So I don't know if anybody's got any comments on this budget worksheet. Any other questions? 4C, meeting schedule, 2024 meeting schedule. Days 4:30. We're going to make a motion on the meeting schedule.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Ramey, second. Mr. Chuckta, all in favor?
Aye.
Hearing none. All in favor. Votes ordered, thank you. Next one is pump station controls upgrade 5A.
Okay, so that's just kind of like, it's old business insofar as you guys voted to approve that. I just wanted to really just see where we go from here as far as we need, obviously we have to pay them to do the work, but I don't want to enlist them to do the job yet until everybody knows that that's happening. Is there any kind of stipulation, any kind of restriction, anything, or we could just have them go ahead with that?
No, we signed the agreement and we voted on it. So you can start it.
Okay, just making sure.
Unless anybody else has a comment on it.
Does that have anything to do with the hot air, taking care of that with the soggy ground? Has we done anything on that so far?
We have not.
Is it in the works to do anything?
It is in the works, yes. Yes.
Which
I don't
one?
see
Which one,
anything about
Don, is
that
it you're
on
talking
the
about?
agenda for this month.
Here.
though.
That air pressure, that's the soggy ground, that's 400 degrees. I
yeah,
think that's pretty serious. I don't know, maybe it's not.
It's from the standpoint of it being extremely wasteful energy wise.
That's okay.
Well, you had mentioned, I thought when you and I spoke about it on the phone, directly, that you were talking about doing it in-house.
Oh, no,
No, okay.
I'm sorry, I mean, some of it in-house.
not that. no,
Okay,
that-
all right. So then so the next step is to have a bid document put together.
For the air.
for the air.
Okay, I think, so Matt was working on, he did, show us all the pictures
Matt
and
talked about
everything.
it
that-
last month.
Right, so we just need, I don't know if we were gonna talk about that this month or not, but
Then
it
you
just
want to
didn't
add
appear
to
on
it?
the agenda, I don't know.
We could talk about it. Our priority this month was, I think the design of the storing, cold storage thing. We turn that around in a month, so that's for our. We do have more to talk about when we get to our.
Okay. Talk about leaking air then. Is that right, Don?
Yes,
6A. Langang's Landing. Alan?
Hello, for the record, Alan Shepherd, professional engineer. Company is Nowakowski of Beam Chow and Kane, 415 Howe Avenue, Shelton, Connecticut. And what we have before you is a proposal for a 55-unit apartment building at Landansky's Landing, which was Landansky's flower shop on Route 8. The project has been tentatively approved from the, they did the PDD zone change from zoning to allow for this. We're looking for a little over 10,000 gallons a day. The connection is a straight shot connection right to the sewer line. Gravity, not complicated. So, and we're back in for the final approval. Obviously, to get final approval, we have to have the sewer capacity approved and allocated.
Okay, so you mentioned you kind of have approval.
Well, we have, they do now where we go to P and Z first, and then we come back to you, and then we go back to them. So we have the
So now you have to
conceptual
go
approval.
back to them.
Now we got it for the detail site
Okay,
plan.
so here's the problem that we have, and we're gonna have it again pretty soon. We're having. We require, and we had a special hearing, we require full and unadulterated approval from P and Z. Because here's what happens. And it's happened years ago and it happened before again. You guys, I'm gonna say you guys, developers, come to us for approval for 10,000 gallons, right? Then we say, yep, you're approved for 10,000 gallons for hotel. Then you go back to P and Z and you say, yeah, you know what? I'm not gonna do a hotel anymore. I'm gonna do apartments. And now it's not 10,000 gallons, it's 15,000 gallons. You guys, and I'm not saying this in the wrong way, Alan, trust me.
Understand that.
Developers are not coming back to us and telling us, oh, by the way, WPCA and Bill, that we're increasing the size of the project. Come back to us when you're done telling them, they're done giving you full and final approval. They don't need our information for gallons per day or so. What's happening is we're getting sidestepped. We're getting slapped in the face and people aren't coming back to us. Sit down. No, sit down. You're not on the board. You're not on.
I represented them.
Okay, but I'm talking to
Right,
Alan.
I'll wait till you finish.
Okay,
I'll
so
explain that.
that's the problem we're having.
Yeah.
We adopted a new procedure.
Yep.
Don't come to us until you're 100% approved because developers and their attorneys are turning around and changing the game plan. And now when we were thinking it's 10,000 gallons, now it's 15,000 gallons. Oh, by the way, the Langdon's gas station and convenience store went away and now it's an apartment. Okay, you understand our dilemma?
And this is the same problem we have. And we've been going at this for years, right? This is not a new thing.
You know that.
So I know that, right? So this ain't a new thing, but we do have the zone change in place and the approval for the apartment building in place. So that's 100%. So what the town has got right now is they give you the zone change and the approval. Now they're just having detailed site plan approval. So the detailed site plan approval is what kind of siding we're going to put in, what kind of curbs, that kind of stuff.
So Alan, how are we guaranteed that between now and then, that, oh, by the way, it's, I snuck in a couple more apartments, you know, what I mean, Dominic, you know where
That's
we're
what
going.
Dominic said that.
Let me
Dominic said
explain the approval
Yeah.
process. This is a PDD, was approved for the gas station.
Correct.
It's a zone change.
Correct.
You have the right, as you have the right in any zone in the state, in the city, to go back in and apply for a change of that zone, a change of the PDD. An amendment was applied for to substitute the apartments. The application that went in to amend the PDD, to amend the initial concept plans and the statement of uses and standards was for 62 apartments. At that point, and I will mention, is when members of the commission raised the issue of, have you gone to WPCA? To which my response was, we don't go to WPCA until you've finalized your approval, and so we
And
can
they
give
know
them,
that now.
we can go the numbers. They seem to understand that now.
I didn't mean to put you down and say, sit down, but it's an ongoing problem
Right.
that is
So-
still on the table today.
So,
Right at the present time, the approval that was finally done, the approval of the statement of uses and standards and the amendment to the PDD approved up to 55 units. That was the requirement. They reduced it from 62 down to 55 units. The final site development plans is now the stage that they're at. This is a two-step, this application is a two-step process. So the final site development plans for the 55 units have been filed and they're pending actually.
And we-
Final approval is actually
and-
pending this evening.
And
Okay,
we can't change the number of units or the type of units that
Or
we're
anything like
proposing. We're
that.
locked in.
that's it. Now, it's been explained to
Where
develop.
is that stated? You can't change. I mean, how do we know that? How do I know that?
Give them a copy
Well,
of the PDD.
the statement of uses and
Yeah.
standards is the zoning regulation. Okay. So in order to, they could change the number of units by going down. They
Yeah,
could
you can't-
reduce the number of
you can't
units.
go
I mean, when they build it, they can say, we're not gonna build 55, we're gonna build 50. And they could do that on their own thing. That is within the framework. To increase the number of units, if they got their approval for the final site development plans, and a month from now, a year from now, wanted to go back in and now try to get 60 units on it, they would have to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission at that point and request a zone text change and a zone map change.
Why aren't you
And have
doing
a
that?
full public hearing.
Why aren't you doing that before you come to us? Why do you come? Let me put it this way. I'll say it in simpler terms. Our plant doesn't care whether it's a gas station, it's a school, it's a hotel, or it's apartments. All our plant cares is that you're going to send 10,000 gallons a day. I'm using a number
Right.
to our plant. That's it. We don't care about P&Z. They have nothing to do with us. And we have nothing to do with them, other than them telling us when you have 100% approval, then you come to us. Our plant doesn't care what it is on the property, as long as you're telling us it's 10,000 gallons a day.
Okay.
They have
Let me explain.
100% approval. They
Yeah,
have
let-
You know what I'm saying?
100% approval for 55 units,
Right.
Okay,
period.
okay.
That's
So-
what is in right now.
And I'll
Where's
explain
that
it.
stated in the, because if I read this, and I read that you last night, I'm not sure I read that. It's, unless I'm not reading it
Well,
correctly.
we could give you a statement of use of, that was approved. It's on file at Lambert.
No, I want a documentation.
Yeah, no, the
No,
statement
no,
of uses and standards.
Okay, all right.
It's been
So,
approved by the commission.
It's sort of like this, because we recognize the problem and we're willing to do whatever, I've been around forever. I used to come here first, and then they said, don't go here first, go to P and Z. So we went to P and Z, so it's sort of like a subdivision, right? So a subdivision, I get approval for subdivision, not necessarily to build the individual houses, but you get the approval for subdivision. With the PDD, we got the approval for the 55 units. Now it's kind of like what kind of materials you're going to build it.
So this residential multifamily, how do I know by looking at this map that this is phase one of 2 phases? How do I?
It's
where is-
not phase
No, it's
one.
not.
No, there's no phase, there's no,
You said there were
there's
2
no
parts
phase.
to the shop.
no, the PDD process is a two-step process.
Oh, okay.
The first step changes the zone on the land. Certain projects can do it in one step, but I'm not going to explain that to you right now. This is a two-step process. So the initial process is the initial development plans and the statement of uses and standards. That was approved for the gas station. The developer decided to change it to apartments. So we had to go back and amend it. So we went in, we amended its PDD 90 something, 99.
So obviously then you're obviously then with us and P and Z, you're withdrawing your original gas station.
The original gas station is no longer approved.
Okay.
Is no longer
Because
approved.
because the thing I fear, and again, I'm being a realist. My wife tells me I'm a realist. I should be an optimist, but I'm a realist. The reality is that I want to make sure that you're not coming back in 5 years and saying, oh, by the way, we decided we're going to go back to the gas station.
They, in order to
If you
do
do,
that.
you need to come
in
to
order
us.
to do that, they'd have to go back.
I
In order
understand.
to do that, they'd have to go back to planning and
I
zoning.
understand.
And they could. So, but planning and zoning, but what the difference between the gas station and here is the gas station never went to final site development. The gas station never went.
But
To
you
the
came to us,
second
you came
stage.
to us. Unfortunately, you came to us for that approval.
Well,
That was prior to us initiating a new
Right.
docket.
that was the time period between that and another one when I got into a discussion with the Planning and Zoning Commission in which I pointed out to them that their request to us to get, for developers to get WPCA approval at the beginning was incorrect. That in fact, WPCA wanted to approve an approved plan. And in fact, that is what's on the table. It just happened so coincidentally in this project, the actual final vote, hopefully, I understand, underline hopefully, on the final site development plans, which have all been ironed out with Mr. Panico and Alex, maybe tonight. But that is, now here's your 55 units. Here's the quality of the, here's what we're doing in the siding. Here's what we're doing in the parking. You know what I mean? The final details.
Okay, so in some ways though, Dominic, you're still cutting us off because you're going back to them. What if they say no tonight and we give you approval tonight?
They,
What if they, I'm being a
they
total,
cannot say no. It's a matter of right. As long, no.
I don't know that. All I know is our plan is, you're telling us.
Like, you approve the subdivision, but then say you can't build the houses.
Right. They can't, it's a matter of right, as long as it isn't changed
locked
from the
in.
original plan.
Look, I'm not
It's a
an
matter
attorney,
of-
but I'm just telling you our dilemma for years and our dilemma, and you know, you've been here long enough.
Yeah.
Alan, you've been here long enough. Our dilemma for years is that, well, we decide we're going to go and do something different.
Well,
it's
many-
not going to work.
I agree with you. Many of the PDD, what you have to understand is once the final site development plans, and I agree that developers should come to you at the point when they have everything, everything done, which is being done here. The problem, I mean, not the problem, the fact is developers do change, whether it's economics or other reason, developers do change and make changes to the uses as happened here. It more often happens in the larger commercial projects, which are governed by market and governed by that, but they still have to come to you for an approval after they get final site development plans. The point is, with respect to zoning and the uses, once you change, if you're going to change the use and it's not in a statement of uses and standards, then you have to go to zoning first before you come here. You cannot just come here and say, hey, guys, we've decided to change. That does no good and developer can't do that. And I understand the conundrum, and I went back and forth with planning and zoning on this issue. And I said, you can't be sending us to WPCA at the beginning.
They know it. They know it now. There's been several
I
meetings.
understand it.
That's finally ironed out. And the other
We
thing,
did have the public hearings, went through the process over.
right, and the other thing I believe I gotta get the document back out again. When we had this special meeting for this procedure, we put a 1-year time frame on it. So you have to start your project before 1 year of the vote. And Bill, if you want to talk about the blue card, because we're going to talk about it in a few minutes.
Yeah.
That if our benefit connection charge is $2,600 per EDU, and you start 1 year after approval, 366 days, we change the usage fee, you have to pay the new usage fee. We're not letting you carry the $2,600 of benefit connection charge in perpetuity until you guys decide that you're going to start the project. because we have an added cost every year at our plant that we have to pay. So we can't hold $2,600, and this is gonna go for your discussion in a few minutes.
Oh, I know.
And we can't hold $2,600 in perpetuity because, and I understand the economics would happen over there at Fountain Square. But I'm just gonna go back to this, that, so we're gonna give you a 1 year to start your project. Okay, because these projects, they sit there and some of them go on for maybe 2 years, but you gotta start the project within 1 year. And then Bill's gonna ask for the card at the end of the job and say, the blue card, okay, you guys are ready for the CO. Bill's gonna sign off and he's gonna say, where's the money?
And that's completely understandable. And I
Right.
think that what's important up front is for the developers to understand that despite the fact they have 5 years under the section 34 of the zoning regulations to complete their final site development plans, that you are imposing a 1 year, as long as the developers know it up front, that after 1 year, if you have changed your rates at that point, they would be subject to the new rates if they haven't hooked up. And I think it's just simply a matter of the developers knowing that up front.
We had a public hearing on this in January. Guess how many developers showed up?
Probably not.
None. And I alerted a couple of them about this, I got phone calls, and nobody showed up. So that's what happens because we sit here in a bubble and then you guys are,
I have the approval for the other matter that I'm going to talk.
well, let's finish
My
this. Let's
suggestion
finish it.
to you, my suggestion to you is very simple. It's on a piece of paper. It lists all the gallons and the amount that you owe on the bottom. And
Let's finish this one.
yeah, but all I'm saying to you is I would strongly suggest you take that form and in some bold, square, bold highlighted area, put this number is good for 1 year. And at the end of 1 year is subject
It's
to being.
Dominic, I agree with you. And after talking to Bill for the past 2 weeks, that it probably should be on that form, but nobody showed up to the public hearing. Nobody. So that's not our problem. Why do we have to spell this out to everybody?
You don't have
Because I
to.
have to sit here and get in an argument with you guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to argue.
I'm not here to argue. I'm here to discuss.
I know.
And
I call it arguing.
there's a difference. I can argue pretty well.
No, we're not arguing with an attorney.
But I'm here to discuss and hopefully
That's fair.
resolve. But I just wanted to clear up the issue on the
All right,
permitting.
so let's get moving because 5:30, we need to be out of here because,
So we do have zoning approval. It's sort of like having a subdivision, then you go in for the individual building lots. So it's the same kind of process. We're locked in for the 55
I'll leave it up to
units.
the board whether to say yes or no on this, whether they let you come back. I'm willing to say, okay, you told us you have approval. We expect to see approval tomorrow as soon as P and Z approves it. I'm willing to go that far. You have to convince everybody else here that to go that far.
Okay. So, yeah, so we have the zoning in place. So tonight we're on the board for our final conceptual approval, which is the same thing that we showed them plans. We didn't change anything from the conceptual. I had to put a few outdoor seating areas and a dog run and stuff like that, but it was the same plans. So the zoning's in place, and I think that kind of works. You get the zoning in place, which is the conceptual approval is not as detailed from an
I don't
engineer.
want to move you, but we're short on time
Yeah,
because
so I just
we're
go
being,
through
our
that.
time's being taken.
Right, I'll just go
So
through that.
the comment I'm gonna make, I'm gonna ask anybody else, the comment I'm gonna make is, you've got to go over to Matt and have this looked at, correct? The gallon and everything. That's one. And then two is, I'm willing to say, okay, tonight. I'm gonna have to ask these other guys whether they're willing to say, okay, tonight. I don't want to, look, I'm not telling you I don't want you to come back next month. I don't want to see you again, but I'm willing to listen to you tonight and make that determination on my own. These guys also have a determination to make. Mr. Ramian.
Yeah.
What would you like to do?
I want to move forward with it because I think that it's been approved by the planning and zoning.
I know.
Up to the point that when it comes to us, as far as we're concerned, we're concerned about the GPA, the gallons per day and the cost of I think the thing here tonight is the cost factor. And I'm in favor of it.
You're in favor. Larry?
I'm a little confused, but,
Then make it easy. Say yes. Since Mr. Ramey says yes, say yes.
okay, yes.
Because I'm willing to say yes also.
I agree with Don.
Okay, so we're gonna give you formal approval based on the information and with Bill sitting here and Ashley sitting here because she helps us monitor it. That we're gonna make sure. So we'll take a vote on it. All in favor of BCC 23-2 Langens Landing? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Vote is order. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Storage tank replacement bid 6B, I'm sorry, 6B. Matt?
I'm gonna just kind of step in.
Matt, do me a favor, because we have to hear them. We got 15 minutes.
That's why I went first.
Try to attempt to make it 5 minutes if you can.
Yeah, so the real short of this is in the
I'm
last,
sorry, we have to 5:45.
All right.
So we got a little bit of time, but try to finish up because it's gonna probably, we're gonna give you 15 minutes. So if you can finish up by 5:30, that'd be great.
so originally we were gonna go out there and work on the aeration supply piping to the tanks, like Don remembered we're gonna do. But then kind of Danielle mentioned like, well, the leaking chlorine storage tank seems to be a bigger priority. So instead we had John go out there with his team and look at the design of what's in there. And within 4 weeks, he turned around pretty much a construction ready plan set. We have one more review to do with Danielle. I have one more review to do of it, and then it's ready to go out to bid. This was part of the on-call that we have with the task for the treatment plant. John can explain to you the details of the design, and we actually even have some photos you can see of what the existing setup looks like. But really what I want to stress right now is that just looking at the time frame to get this done, we're looking at 5 to 6 months if we were to bid this in November to have this system online. So we're looking at the system's not going to come online till sometime in April, which sounds like it could be an issue for disinfection season. The tote idea is a great idea. I would rather not try to use these small chemical totes to use disinfection for your treatment plant.
We would rather not either.
So I'm a little concerned about this timeframe. Just that the fabrication of the tank could be 10 to 12 weeks. The bid period, we're looking at 4 to 6 weeks through the town process. Once the contractor's on board, we're going to have about 4 weeks to get the contract in place, get some submittals, finalize the drawing for the tank to get it ordered. And then after all that, then we're hoping that the contract will be able to install within 4 weeks. As an alternative to this process, again, I'm fast tracking because I'm a little rushed here, is if we could find an alternate way where maybe we pre-order the tank now and then maybe we can just find a way to remove the old tanks, new tank, and then have plant staff pipe it up. Sounds like you're very capable. That might be a discussion point that we might want to have offline. I'm springing this on you right now because I'm rushed, but that might be an alternative approach to get this done a lot faster and do it with in-house forces. But that's something to think about. And then we can either decide through a special meeting, or but we will need to have a decision by the next WPCA meeting to move this forward expeditiously. So, John, if you want to go real quick on what you did.
Hi, everyone.
It's a good thing you put the map on here, Shelton, on a map, because we didn't know where we were on this map.
Just to make sure we all know. So you have the plan sets in front of you, just to kind of run through some bullet points of what's kind of spec'd out there. For the demolition itself, we have removal of the tank, ladder, all of the piping, exterior lighting around the area, as well as removal of the shower stations. During our site meeting, they were noted to not be functional anymore. For the replacement, we'll be replacing with a new 5,400 gallon double walled tank with insulation, installation of new level and leak detection sensors. We'll be upgrading the access ladder to the tank with lockout features as well as a safety cage. New fill, overflow, and carrier piping will be installed with the containment pipes to match the existing. Also be installing a new bellows fitting that also matches the existing setup.
So where's the replacing the leaked roof? Is that on the controls room? The leaking
Yeah.
roof? That's on the controls room on here?
Yep, that's the chemical feed hut that sits adjacent to the tank. To replace the shower stations, we're going to opt for portable eye and shower stations. During the cold months, they can be brought inside to protect them. We'll also be performing some patching of just small spalled cracked concrete that was noted around the tank and on the slab that it sits on. Replacement of all the exterior lighting, replacement of missing and deteriorated signage, and we'll also be performing caulking repairs to the roof of the chemical feed hut to address some of the leaks that were noted at the interior of the building.
On here is, that's the second one, priority ranking number 1. We got 3 ones here. Where is the one that Mr. Ramey is talking about there, losing the air? Do we have it on here? Oh, I got it. That's number 2?
We show the number 3 on this, on the.
You have a priority 2.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the priority. I don't care where it is
Yeah,
on
we
the
said
list.
that's priority 2 because the plant can still operate, but plant cannot operate without, putting some storage.
Correct, okay. So, good, so you give us some valuable information because we have to tie this together with all of our, you got the priority rankings in the years and the months we might be doing it, so we got to figure out our financial side of it too to do this.
Fortunately, it's double-sided.
Huh?
Double-sided.
Yeah,
And that's, so the other.
Over here.
The other side of this is the. work collecting side. This priority list is basically your short-term and ongoing needs for your treatment plant and your collection system. We've been tracking this control here. They're all talking about, I don't want to.
so here again, I think what we're gonna, we can decide, we got a little bit of time left. I think what we're gonna want to do, Matt, is have a special meeting. I don't want to take up the time here at these meetings, but have a special meeting to discuss this needs matrix that we've spoken about many times, and we're, getting to some of them and planning them out. And when we think we can do them.
That'd be great.
I'm not sure when, but you and I can talk a little bit. I'll talk with Danielle and Garrett. And
This is
then
a
ask,
living document. These costs are, just the approximate cost. And you're not gonna get a better cost until we actually go.
No, I know.
into the design.
I know. Anything else John, or anybody else that want to ask about the chlorine
Well,
content thing?
Yes, for this chlorine contact tank, so what is the next step then? So obviously, John, you were highlighting what the scope of the work is going to be. And then we need to put this out to bid. So do we all have the next steps for the bid process to put this out?
Turn it over to that.
Yeah, so for the next steps, there's 2 ways to do this. If you wanted to, I'm thinking how the town procurement process works. Since you have an on-call with us, if you wanted us to pre-purchase the tank and bill through, like pass through billing to you, so you can get that order in now, then that would be one approach, and then you guys could handle the actual installation with the piping it up. And then our construction services could come in and pick off the old tank, place a new one, and then hand it over to you if you want that responsibility. If you don't, then we could pre-purchase the tank.
No, you take it away.
hire the contractor. Well, what I'm saying is we could pre-purchase the tank, swap the tanks, or no, just pre-purchase the tank and then go out to bid to hire a contractor to replace it. And that's going to condense the time frame by about 6 to 8 weeks, which is the bid process.
So the lead time in that tank is what, 16, 18 weeks, I'm gonna assume?
I'm going to say it's 10 to 12 weeks.
That's better, okay.
It's the procurement process, which is it's about a 6 week bid time from the time you bid it to the time you can actually award the contract through the town. And then after we get that, then we have to get the drawing reviews and get that approved from the contractor so they can release the tank for fabrication. So that it saves quite a bit of time if we do it that way.
Who's installing the piping? You said us? When you say us?
We have a choice. I think it sounds like your new staff is much more capable than what I'm accustomed to. And it's PVC pipe, with, you're gonna make sure you use the right glue solvent, but, that might be an option. But, in either case, I don't know if we want to decide this now because it feels to me a little rushed, or we want to handle this as part of that special meeting coming up.
Yeah, I want to handle part of the special.
I feel more comfortable doing that as well.
I agree.
And Matt, doing it, having the staff plummet in, what is the savings time-wise that you feel?
The savings, the savings comes from, the whole thing with this project is that 6 to 8 weeks of bidding, so we can order the tank. So if we're able to order that tank, if we can cut out 6 to 8 weeks of ordering the tank, then this project can be completed before the disinfection season starts. That's how I look at it.
So we can shave off 6 to 8 weeks of this time by being able to plumb this ourselves.
Yeah,
Okay,
you shift the cost onto your staff,
right.
which makes way more sense than, why would you hire a contractor to put PVC pipe together? It's the kind of the way I look
No, I
at it.
know that we can handle that. I'm confident in that. It's just all the rest of it.
Yeah, but in terms of picking the old tank off, putting a new one on, we could help with that process.
How about controls?
Very minimal. There's a couple of level
That
sensors.
can be an Aaron's work through Aaron.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's actually low voltage controls. It's very straightforward for the controls.
Tank removal?
Tank removal, that's something you're either gonna have a contractor do. If you were to go the contract route, if you didn't, then our construction service could help with that.
Your control.
Yeah.
How big is the tank?
5,400 gallons.
Show them there.
We don't want to take it.
Show them there.
You can, we'll figure that out, but it's,
5,400 gallon tank.
that's a PVC tank, correct?
Polyethylene, yeah.
Yeah.
Double walled.
Yeah.
There's probably a couple hundred gallons of chlorine in the bottom of it that will have to drain out. I think this would be faster, cheaper than bidding the whole thing and leaving it up to.
So why don't we discuss that at our special meeting when we're going to talk about the priority list?
Okay.
But I think if Garrett sounds like that's probably the way to go.
Yeah. I don't want to take up too much time since we're going to get cut off. Do you have any other questions?
Yeah, 3 minutes, Matt.
3 minutes for questions.
Special meeting on this.
Yeah, let's figure out when we're going to do the special meeting. I'll get some, no. That's what I'm saying. I told him already.
Matt, I
Yep.
appreciate you coming up with that as an alternative instead of going through that whole bid process in that fashion, and, take so much more time and money.
Well, the idea didn't come to me till you're sharing the success you're having with your new staff. So I'm thinking we can leverage that and
Yeah, I'm confident we can handle that.
grow their skills more. Yeah.
If not, Bill can put his work clothes on. He's a plumber. Thanks, Matt. Thank you, John. Nothing else for these guys, right?
Thank you, John.
It's like the PVC, it's polyethylene. I don't know what,
That's gonna be a discussion we're gonna have.
yeah, Matt, in the disposal process, do they cut it up or take it out in a whole piece? How do they?
We would lift the whole thing up and out of the way. Because we're gonna have to tilt it to get the chemical in the bottom out. And then, then ultimately, you're gonna rinse it out, cut it up, and then dispose of it as trash.
I'm sure you have to have a bill of lading for it, and that's got to be signed off by everybody when you take it.
I'm probably oversimplifying.
You did.
I think you're.
You're gonna have to have a manifest where it's going, who signed it off. You
We
know,
want to make clear it's not hazardous waste by cleaning it before we dispose.
right? So let's, if you can have those kind of specific information for our special meeting, let's do that. And then you can ask all the questions now that's thinking, we don't need to, what are we gonna do with a tank like that? We have no need for it.
Please, it's no good.
Right, exactly. All right, thank you. Mr. Thomas.
Dominic Thomas, 315 Main Street, Derby, Connecticut, representing Fountain Square. In this-
15 minutes, okay, Dominic?
Okay, I'm here to discuss, I asked to be on the agenda after a discussion about the connection fee that came to my attention for Chick-fil-A, which was, the number was given was 77,000. So between a conversation with Matt and conversations today and some research, I actually have more knowledge than I really want to have about gallons per day and everything like that. But I managed to probably not quite enough to qualify for an employee, but I have a lot. And what I did is I took the numbers, and I know I'm not, and I did look at them from the perspective of the client, that the original approval, which had square footage, which had restaurant square footage and everything, computed out in 2019, I believe it was, to $328,000 based on a 385 restaurant seats, 121 unit hotel, and 19,000 square foot office building, and retail, a substantial amount of retail. The two things, realizing that it's going to exceed the budget, and I'm not going to go into the history of how one of the four partners and Highview Homes out of New Jersey managed to pull Fountain Square out of the garbage heap and have it being done the way it is right now, with Chick-fil-A ready to open. And that was what promoted the issue. One of the issues today was the blue sheet and getting the thing. So the client has made a $35,000 payment. Part of the problem I'm having is that when you, even looking at the other numbers, I can't come up with 77,000 using your 2,600 new number. And I'm making the assumption that 2,600 number that you put up from 2,100 was also done last year when they did Panera. So when I backed out Panera using the number of seats, I basically came out to their roughly right at the 20,000 figure, which was the number for Panera. And the number for Metro Mattress, that I had a little trouble with. So which was only like $1,300 and something. The reason for that is apparently your numbers, they're based on some formulas. They're not based on, at least as to retail, they're not based on reality, in that you have a 4,000 square foot liquor store with one bathroom and one sink, one toilet and one sink that is not for public use. And they're going to be charged $5,000, or basically almost 1.9, whatever it is, EDUs. By the way, it's really happy I can use these little languages and actually know what I'm talking about now. But that shocked me, because we have other ones coming in. You have Consumer Cellular that's going to be almost $4,000 or $5,000. They have, again, I think 1 or 2 bathrooms, but only for their employees. So you have that on the retail end. On the restaurant end of it, when I ran the numbers, and I think Bill told David Gunier that Chick-fil-A has to count its outdoor seating. One of the things that's unusual when you look at the public health book that has it, is the Connecticut Public Health book seems to throw the issue of a fast food restaurant with takeout and drive-throughs out the window, and just use you have 30 gallons per seat, whether or not those seats are in a fast food restaurant or a sit-down restaurant. It doesn't make any difference. Regardless of that, even living with that, and even adding the outside seating, I came up with 44,000 using your current numbers. And so I couldn't understand, I couldn't figure it out. So that was one of the things that,
Let's put aside for a minute what you think and we think the fee
Yeah.
is. The problem, and you've heard the conversation earlier about Langdon's. But on this drawing here that was approved by the board on November of 2018. I'm just looking at differences for now. I'm not
Right.
looking at dollars right now.
Right.
You have 4,819 square feet. That's what was approved by us and P and Z.
Right.
From what I can see. And I'm not telling you it's related to dollar values right now. But now you have another one. I have another document here that's telling me that this thing is going to 5,600 square
Right,
feet. Or
right.
5,600 square
Right.
feet.
yeah, Chick-fil-A went, in the meantime, Chick-fil-A went back themselves to planning and zoning, and Chick-fil-A got an approval for a larger building. In addition to that, at the original computation that I was given by our engineer, originally Chick-fil-A was computed in at only 50 seats. And that was what the engineer said was given to him by Chick-fil-A for their original floor plan. I understand that. So that I'm not, there was obviously a change. What I did, and I believe there should be some consideration, obviously, for the economics of a situation. I'm looking at a situation where you have a formula and you have a plan, for instance, that just looks at a restaurant, looks at the number of seats, and has no consideration of the type of restaurant, because they're in zoning, in land use, there is a substantial difference between a sit-down only restaurant and a drive-through restaurant. And one of the impacts is that as far as the use of sewers and everything like that, you're going to have much less use of the waters and everything in a Chick-fil-A type as
My
opposed to a
argument
sit-down.
back, you heard the argument earlier tonight is about developers going to P and Z, getting approval. And then they come to us, we give you approval. And then again, I'm not going to point at you, I'm just
Yeah.
telling in general. Then you guys turn around and you add footage, square footage, or you change the plans. We have a specific plan. Again, I'm not saying it's related yet to the dollar value, but now you're changing the plans without telling us that you're changing the plans. 5 years later, we approved this thing 5 years ago.
Right, but
So-
we're still well below the number of, rather than focusing on an individual restaurant, from the perspective of the developer, we're still well below the 375 seats that were approved for you back then.
All we care is, does our plant doesn't know anything that's on this drawing other than if you're telling us you're gonna send us 10,000 gallons and all of a sudden you change it 5 years later from 2018 and it's 15,000 gallons, we're sitting here with our hand on our butt because now who's gonna pick up the extra 5,000
No,
gallons?
if my client, you don't understand. If my client exceeds those 375 square feet or 375 seats, they're going to be paying more money to you. I understand it's going to exceed the 328. That's not what I'm arguing. What I'm arguing was the numbers that I was given do not add up to 77,000. Number one. The other argument I made is the formula that you're using for retail is, I'll be very frank, ridiculous. It's the retail that's there. Not all retail. The retail that came into you was a 4,000 square foot liquor store that has one bathroom that is not able to the public. They are subject, based on the computation that you have of 10% of the gross square feet. They are subject to 2 EDUs or almost 2 EDUs. So they have a $5,000 hookup fee based on your 2,600. I'm computing it based on your current figures. So one, I'm saying with Chick-fil-A, I'm saying we're well below that. I'm using your numbers. I don't come up with 77,000. I use the number of seats.
Industry standard there's an industry.
Right. I use the industry standard, the number of seats times 30 gallons per minute divided by your 210, the
210 gallons.
yeah, the 210 gallons times 2,600. And if you use the seats, it doesn't come out to that. It comes out to $48,646, not $77,000.
Matt, you want to say something?
Mr. Chairman, I've got to leave, but I just want to comment is because this issue has been burning for about a year now. You know, your comments are well taken in the fact that they have changed a lot of the uses, which changes the formulas. The other thing that no one's talking about is the infrastructure, the pipes in the ground. We have to have accurate as-bills. I don't know that we have them. I know Ernie and I talked about that with the former owners, and we were supposed to get those. So I would make sure that they ensure us that we're gonna have, and if they have to televise the lines, because I know everything is in the ground already. You know, 5-10 years from now, when someone comes back for another use, you know, can the infrastructure handle it? And, you know, does the amount of gallons change? And so maybe that has to be worked out in the, you know, during the day with a meeting of all
We're,
the.
we're gonna have, yeah, we're definitely gonna have to, no, agree.
Yeah. Because it's a big project and,
Right,
and things do change over the course of time.
absolutely. And
And Thomas, we also have our increasing fees. You know what it costs us to truck sludge out of this plant? $400,000, I think we spent. That has to be reflected. Instead of charging you the old rate of 2,100, and you're asking us to charge you the old rate of.
no, oh,
2100.
no. My number was 2,600. I use 2,600. I agree with you that when you don't do it, I agree with you. What I said before was, if the developers all know that, I agree with you that when things are delayed, this one was unusual. The War of the Roses, the battle between two divorced people, is nothing compared to a battle between business partners. Okay, so you had that, and then on top of that, you had a pandemic. So you had all these things coming together at once, and you had, in the 50 years that I've practiced law, I had a 5.5-month closing. That's what it took to save this. That doesn't mean you have to give them any slack, but I'm just telling you, that's what they're dealing with. They're trying with just the DOT work that they had to do offsite to finish it was $250,000 over budget. So they have to deal with all of it. But in your computation, the two issues I have, number one, I ran the 131 seats. And I included the outside seats. So I said, let me run the maximum. I ran that times 30 divided by 210, came up with 18.71, multiplied that by 20, I didn't do it myself, I did it on a calculator, $2,600, and I came out with 48.
Oh, sure you're reading that right?
Yeah, I came up with that. That is one issue. The other issue is the issue of the retail, which I don't know. I understand that the standard is 0.01, but what I can't understand is why it doesn't take into account the fact that the retail liquor store has one bathroom and it's not for public use. And the fact that it's 4,000 square feet, you know, there's a lot more. You have consumer cellular coming in. You do have some that will be using a lot, like you have Physicians One coming in. You have a little gym coming in. You have a jewelry store coming in, which is only going to have a bathroom for that. These are the other ones. You also have, and the clients are aware of that, aware of this. You have, as it changes, you have a couple of more sit-down restaurants that will be coming in. And you have a big change was that will be coming in is a 10,500 square foot daycare. So they know what's coming down the road. And when those things are coming before you, they know there's going to be more expenses. Yes, you will be removing, hopefully, based on approvals, you will be removing the 123 room hotel and 19,000 square feet of office that you approved and you computed, and replacing that hopefully with 148 apartments. Those changes, they're aware of all that. Believe me, these are developers who have many developments in New Jersey. So they're aware of it. They've done it. It's just that the 77,000 figure, we can't come up with it. And
Here's what I'm gonna suggest, and I know you need to open Chick-fil-A pretty soon. Here's what I'm gonna suggest we're gonna have to do. First of all, I don't want you calling Matt anymore. If you could, well, please,
understood.
You paid his fee and that's it. So your fee, the fee is in our wallet right now.
Okay.
We're gonna have to have a work session and then ourselves, and then we're gonna have to invite you to the work session. Because it's not going to get resolved tonight because we only got 3 minutes left.
Gotcha.
So we're willing to sit down and have a work session to work it out. I know you needed to open Chick-fil-A. Me personally, I'm not looking to delay the job, but we also need to make sure that we have the right numbers. If you're claiming our numbers are wrong, well, we need to understand why our numbers are, why we need to understand why you think yours are right and ours might be wrong. So.
Well, 1 minute. Dominic has more up-to-date information than what we even have, because we've been going on square footage. You actually, and we're estimating numbers, you actually have floor plan layout, which we've never seen. So that,
Yeah.
that will help at this
Yeah.
sit down.
And keep in mind, when you say Chick-fil-A, with their process, they did all the construction. We were not, the developers were not involved with respect to that. So we didn't even know. I mean, one of the reasons they were pushing it, to be very honest with you, and thankfully we got the CO today, the clients paid 35,000 so we could work on this, is they were told by upstairs that they couldn't even interview employees inside the building, which I think is incorrect. You know what I mean? But that's what they wanted to do. But yes, their floor plan, I think, changed. They were building it. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? That, you know, we weren't involved in that.
When developers come to the board, they just say, restaurant 1, 4,500 square feet, and then
Right.
there's a lot that happens. from that.
Oh, I mean, where the Panera building is in Metro Mattress was supposed to be a 7,900 square foot restaurant. It didn't. It ended off being Panera and Metro Mattress. I mean, honestly, when I ran Metro Mattress, and please don't send out another supplemental bill. Metro Mattress in the letter was $1,380. If you use the same formula for the liquor store, it's not going to be $1,380.
Recommend that we sit down before you do all these, you know,
Yeah.
and we understand them. So, I mean, that's where I'm, you know, you talk about the hardship of the project. I know very well about the hardship of the project. But the problem is we have incurred costs too. So we got to make, like Stratford, our fees for Stratford doubled. You know, and I don't even know anymore if $2,600 in ETU even covers those fees anymore. So we're on the same boat that you guys are, trying to get a project going. Our prices, and you know what's going on in the industry. I'm involved in it every day, and it's like you can't keep up with it.
We will be glad to sit down with you at this point. Thankfully, it's leasing up very quickly. And certainly after this month, hopefully we will have a good idea. We've resolved the issues. We'll have the apartments approved and everything like that. So I think it would be very beneficial to sit down at some point with your staff and everybody and to go over what we have planned. There are only really a few bays left. There are only 6 bays left for retail, and that's it. And there's that one that was going to be dairy DQ Grill and Chill. That's gone. So that 2,500 square feet or 35, whatever it is, just sitting there.
Be out of here right now.
Okay.
So, and then my last comment, then it's going to be up to Matt and Weston and Sampson, is any time that he spends on this is not going to be on our dime. I'm sure he might have to be asking you for some money on his end.
Well, I thankfully, you know, Bill connected me with him. I have to say, I took rapid notes, and that was my initial sewer use charge 101 class that I had. And based on that and those notes, I was able to extrapolate on it. But anytime you want me to compute sewer use fees, I'll be glad to do it.
Talk and try to figure out a date. It's not our intention to hold up Chick-fil-A, but at the same time, we need to try to at least get past Chick-fil-A first. Let's get past Chick-fil-A, but you can't come in here and pressure us to approve anything else until we at least get Chick-fil-A done and we figure out all the rest of the dominoes.
There will be, and I will make it clear, that's why hopefully we can have the meeting quickly. There will be a whole series of smaller retail ones coming in on a regular basis. I don't think the two big restaurants, Asian Bistro and Mercado, I don't think they're not going to be coming in for a while.
I think the best bet, obviously you guys know what's going on there. The best bet is to email myself and Matt and Bill and say, okay, here's when we're expecting this one to go. So we're not being pressured at a meeting to make decisions for you guys.
Right,
You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? You know, Dominic, we're a volunteer board. And the volunteering, you know, also requires you to do special meetings. I'm more than willing to do special meetings, but you have to be, respectful of us too, and we're trying to be
We will-
respectful.
We will send an email and I think we have everybody's email. We'll send an email around with that. Just to tell you, the two big restaurants, Dave just said are Spring. They're not a big rush. It's just the smaller retail people that want to get open. So we'll send you all that information tomorrow. Okay? Thank you very much.
Good night.
Appreciate putting on to the.
Mr. Raymond, the honors. So moved. Thank you. Don, you realize you're the senior statesman